So, are you a fan of Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille? I know this was the very first private blend that I ever purchased, and to this day, it's still one of my favorite fragrances of all time. I actually catch myself wearing this one quite often, especially right around the winter time. Well, in today's episode, I'm going to be letting you know about 10 fragrances that I think you should personally check out if you are a fan of Tobacco Vanille, but you want something a little bit different. So make sure to stay tuned. Now, before I begin this video and I tell you all about 10 fragrances that I think you should check out if you are a fan of Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille, these are not necessarily clones or inspirations, but they would fall under the same olfactive classification. I do want to start things off by mentioning that if you are a fan of fragrance-related content, please do consider supporting this channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to enable all notifications by clicking on that bell icon. And of course, give this video a thumbs up if you take something of value from today's episode. So just to really drive the point home and reiterate what I just said, these are not necessarily clones or inspirations or dupes or smell-alikes of Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. I find that this fragrance in many ways is irreplaceable, and I love the smell of the original, and it really brings back some fond memories for me because I've had this in my collection for like almost a decade now. But these are fragrances that I think you should check out in place of Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. So just to share a quick funny story, I was talking to one of my wife's friends' husbands, and I was having a conversation with him about fragrances. He found out that I'm into fragrances, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I know some higher end fragrances." And I said, "Oh yeah, which one do you know?" He goes, "That Tobacco Vanilla by Tom Ford, that's really good." And that's actually happened to me several times where I'll talk to somebody who only has like cursory level knowledge of fragrances, but for some reason people know about the private blends. Tom Ford is doing a really good job of promoting and pushing the private blend fragrances. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and dive into the list. The first fragrance that I would recommend doesn't have tobacco in it, although you are going to find some vanilla and tonka bean if I'm remembering correctly, but a lot of spices and also oud, I think from Cambodia. Don't quote me on that, but it does have oud in here. This one by Montal is called Dark Vanilla. Dark, spicy, oudy, kind of a vanilla. So you're gonna get that warm vanilla that you kind of get in Tobacco Vanille, but it's darker and it has a spicier edge. Again, doesn't smell like Tobacco Vanille, but just possesses some similar elements, similar vibes that I think you'll end up liking if you're a fan of those dark, sweet, vanilla-based fragrances. Of course, with that said, we also have another one by Initio Parfum. This one is called Side Effect. Side Effect is amazing. Side Effect is basically this boozy vanilla with also like a cinnamon, kind of a spice in the opening. And then it also has Hedione, which has a pheromone-like effect. It's a really unique aroma molecule. It's also used to make a fragrance a little bit more diffusive, but if you're looking for a spicy, boozy vanilla, Side Effect by Initio Parfum is a great choice. Now, the next fragrance certainly has tobacco in it, so we're on a tobacco trend here, as you can see. Now, this one is tobacco, booze, spice, and coconut. That's all I'm gonna say about it. You have to check out Fan Your Flames, excuse me, by Nishane. This is an awesome fragrance, especially if you're looking for that coconut scent that's in there. Once you catch it and you understand it and you realize it's there, it makes this fragrance so much more enjoyable because I'm always sort of consciously looking for it now. Next up on the list, we have Tabac Havan by Montaigne Parfum. This is an original creation, and this has like this honeyed, thick, syrupy, ambery type of a quality about it, and it also has like the cinnamony opening, and it combines with like tobacco and agarwood in the base. There's a touch of patchouli. There's also like a leather component to it as well. A lot of spices, cardamom, saffron in the opening. It's an awesome scent, especially if you're a fan of fragrances that go a little bit on the spicy side. Surprisingly enough, the next fragrance I want to talk about actually has a very similar note breakdown, except this one is much spicier. In comparison, and I actually did a side-by-side because the note breakdown was so similar, this next fragrance has an overdose of saffron, thus lending it a leathery quality. And this one by Gallagher Fragrances is called Rosé Noir. So this has apple crisp, it also has the patchouli, it has the agarwood in here, it also has like a stainless steel accord or imaginary note. I don't get anything metallic from it, it's actually rather warm and cozy, but I am getting a lot of that sort of spicy saffron opening, which can smell like leather. to a lot of people. The next fragrance I want to talk about by Carolina Herrera is called CH for Men Privé. This one is a spicy whiskey fragrance with like a vanilla tonka bean undertone. So you're going to get this whiskey accord, you're going to get cardamom in the opening. There are a few other elements in there that I personally find to be very unique, but I think it's really the boozy and sweet elements that dominate in this fragrance, thus making it a really nice alternative to Tobacco Vanille with like a boozy twist. Of course, the next fragrance is a really inexpensive fragrance that often gets compared to Tobacco Vanille. The longevity on it is really bad, so that's probably going to be off-putting for a lot of people. But of course, by Zara, this one is called Warm Black. It actually doesn't really have any spices in here according to the note breakdown. It has ginger in the opening, and you're also going to get some tonka bean in the base, but you do get this tobacco-like quality that I would equivocate to the smell of Tobacco Vanille. Of course, when we're talking about tobacco, sweet, spicy, cinnamony, resinous fragrances, another favorite of mine is Owajan by Parfum de Marly. This is a staple in my collection, one of the most spoken about fragrances from Marly, and a sure hit right around the winter time. Of course, if you're a fan of fragrances like Ambre Narguilé by Hermes, you're gonna love this one. And then we also have another fragrance which I've been wearing for many years now. I keep telling myself to buy another bottle, and I haven't done so. I'm pretty much gonna use this entire thing before I buy another bottle, I think. But by Frappin, this one is called 1270. So there's kind of like this cognac, boozy, dried fruit, spicy vibe about it. It actually is kind of similar to the one by Dolce & Gabbana, and that's certainly another fragrance I would recommend that would kind of fall within the same style as Tobacco Vanille. But this one is really awesome, one of my favorites. It's a bit on the pricier side because it is a niche perfume, but it is an awesome scent that is also quite different from Tobacco Vanille. So at least you won't get carbon copy experience. You'll get something that's novel and rather different. And the next fragrance, which surprisingly not only has tobacco but has iris in here as well. So it's a really unique take on that dark, sweet, spicy tobacco and vanilla kind of a vibe. This one by the brand To Me is called Continuum. So this one, you have that starchy quality of the iris. You have that sort of like smooth and sensual vibe, but it's appropriately spicy, and it has enough of those warm elements just to sort of add like a mysterious quality compounded with that sensual quality. It's a really unique fragrance, and I'm really enjoying To Me's Continuum. So cool. And this is one where I've worn it a few times already. I've actually done a full review on it, and it's a fragrance that I plan on wearing a lot more in the months to come just because this is the best season for it. But in any case, here we have 10 fragrances that would kind of fall within the same olfactive classification or family as Tobacco Vanille. I hope you enjoyed this list, and I hope you have the opportunity to try some of these fragrances. I am going to leave links down below for your convenience. I definitely want to take a moment to thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you took something of value from today's episode. If you did, please do consider supporting the channel by subscribing to it. Make sure to enable all notifications by clicking on the bell, and of course, give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.